Hey, good morning guys. Thank you so much for watching the Driver's Side Chats. My name is Philip and it is another beautiful day in North Carolina. So I want to talk today about why I'm so much of a fan of Dave Ramsey and like why I really kind of push what he teaches. There's several reasons. Really, I kind of have to go back to my story a little bit, my life story, to give you a little bit of context. So just disclaimer, I did not grow up in a wealthy home. I mean, we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. I mean, we never had to worry about where the next meal came from. We got to enjoy a couple of the, maybe a few of the nicer things in life. I went to a private school. My parents did help me through college, which, disclaimer, I did work through college, so it wasn't like I was just getting a free ride off mom and dad. I did work through college to help pay my bill and got scholarships as well. But you know, we weren't rich, but we weren't exactly struggling to make the to pay the bills each month. So anyway, coming from that, I'm not the product of major wealth here. Okay, I mean, I'd probably be in your average home. Okay, so I mean, it's not like it was a big deal. When I was about 12 or 13 years old, I was introduced to the 7 Baby Steps by Dave Ramsey. Ironically enough, my oldest brother, he's 10 years older than me, was getting married, and one of the rules that his father-in-law had given him is that he needed to listen and watch Financial Peace University. And as a kid, this was during the summer, I was just a gamer. I like playing my racing games. I've always been a car fan. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. And so what my brother would do is he would just sit in our living room and he would just put in these CDs and listen to them. And, you know, I realized that while I was playing my games, I could listen to that CD and still play and have a fun time still. So what I would do is I would listen. It was like 7 or 8 hours worth of content, mind you. So I was listening very intently for all of this stuff, all of this talk about money and how it can better yourself, better your financial life. So I really got into this stuff at an early age and learned about investing and learned about saving. So that's where it really started there. Now, as I worked through college, again, mind you, I didn't have a huge college bill to have to worry about, which, just so you know, the college bill, my entire tuition in college, 4-year degree, probably cost me a total of $30,000. That was from start to finish. It really was not an expensive education at all. And plus, I had scholarships and I worked all through college. So, you know, I had to work and I had to, you know, save a little bit of money there also. But whenever I could, I was always saving money. See, when I was a junior in high school, I started dating my wife, my now wife, and we dated through the rest of our high school and all through college before getting married. And one of the things at that point when I was in college, it was starting to turn more into the direction of, okay, this is probably where it's leading. We're probably going to get married, and so let's start planning towards that, so that way when we do get married, we'll be off on a better footing. So that's exactly what we did. And me being the Dave Ramsey, learned it through high school, learned it as a kid, you know, studied it through college. I did a lot of research into finances and how to improve my financial situation. I mean, I looked into investing. I looked into side jobs that could earn a higher income. I even looked at like the simple stuff, like taking surveys to see if I could make money off of that. I tried a lot of different things and I studied a lot of different things simply so that my knowledge of finances could become greater. So, and this is all a huge preface, I know, but anywho, when we started looking seriously into getting married, I had to seriously evaluate where I was and what the 7 baby steps were. So, of course, at this point, I'd never had any debt, and I've still never had any debt, which is a huge, you know, wonderful burden to not have to have on my shoulders. And at that point, I had worked through high school, and I had saved up over $1,000 and was working to save even more money if I could. And of course, over time, it slowly built, but it did eventually build. So I had, you know, And it probably wasn't much. I mean, it was probably $3,000 or $4,000 by the time I was done with my sophomore year. I was not money bags over here. And of course, at that point, I needed to start working on my emergency fund, the 3 to 6 months, which for me personally, I like going for the big stuff. So I was shooting for a 6-month emergency fund, even as a sophomore in college, knowing that I would, like to have that set aside before I even get married. And that way, when I get married, I can go ahead and push retirement, through the wall. So that's what I did. I worked hard. And that summer after my sophomore year, I obtained a job as a car salesman. And I did that as like an internship position where that entire summer I sold cars and did a pretty decent job at it. Also, through my Christmas break, after I'd gone back for my junior year and came back for Christmas break, I continued to sell. And then I finished up my senior year of college, and I came back. Let me think. You know what? I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. It was after my junior year of college that I started selling cars. Then senior year, Christmas break, came back and sold. Then I graduated, came back and sold full time. And of course, I got married in August after I graduated college in May. So at that time when I had gotten married, that was when I was hoping to have that emergency fund. I probably technically would have hit it if I would have broken down my budget, because there's a lot of savings written down in my budget. But if I really tried to break it down, I probably could have done a 6-month plan. But there was a certain financial goal, a certain dollar amount that I wanted to have, and I was very close to it, but we just didn't quite get there. We're there now, after almost a year of being married. So we eventually got to it, but at that point we had already started getting 401k stuff put together, and so that brings me to why I love Dave Ramsey so much, because now I'm living the Dave Ramsey way. I've got we have two incomes in our household that are full-time, and I'm not like picking at the minimum wagers, but it wasn't like a minimum wage type job where you worked 15 to 20 hours a week. I mean, so we've got the full-time jobs with full-time pay, full-time benefits, it's a real permanent situation type job. And now that we've been implementing those baby steps, really the only baby step we've accomplished in our marriage is, of course, getting the emergency fund up to where we wanted it to, and then, of course, just saving for retirement. The next biggest thing that we're after, of course, we don't have kids yet, so we can't really worry about our kids' college, because we don't even have kids to provide for yet, is getting a house paid off early. But to have a house paid off early, you got to have a house. So we're in the process now of saving for the house. I say all of that gets you to why I like Dave Ramsey and why I feel like it's so important. Like why his steps are a great way to building your wealth, and why I have such a huge respect for his plan. Having been married now almost 11 months, I can see it. It works. All right, now remember, I've been studying this stuff since I was probably 13 years old. I'm 23 now, so it's been about 10 years that I've learned about this stuff, and I've been trying to implement it. Even as a teenager, there's only so much you can do, but trying to implement it as much as possible. And I am living proof that while I'm not wealthy, I'm debt-free, and I've got, and it's not a huge retirement fund at this point, because, it's not even a year old. But just doing the 15% for retirement, it's even after a year of investing, you can already see results. I was looking at one of my 401ks from a car dealership job, and the interest that I brought in off of that was like 14% for the whole year, which is incredible. But when you look at all this stuff, it's truly something that works. Because I can look back to where I started from when I first got married, and where we built our emergency fund to where we would be very comfortable if we both lost our jobs, that we would, if we absolutely had to, we could survive for however long it was. And now we've got 401ks that are At this point, because the balance in our 401ks is so small, they're aggressively growing, meaning that every single paycheck that we get is a pretty significant amount of money going, in percentage-wise, going towards that, if that makes sense. Just because it's so small, you know, having $100, $200, you know, going into a 401k is still a sizable percentage of it. So having that, and now that we're in that process of saving up for a house, you know, and I'm not going to tell you, oh, there's a Hellcat, the one I see every morning, you know, and having that savings now for a house and seeing that savings grow and seeing it build, it's really amazing that how much this stuff works, because without it, you know, I might not quite have what we have now. And I'm not saying that does, you know, build me up to make myself look big, but I mean, you can see slow and steady progressions of how the numbers keep getting larger every month because you're saving so much, or you're able to, you know, to make it happen. And I'll tell you, right now we are making huge sacrifices to get where we need to be. The 15%, you know, we can live with that. But, you know, saving for a house, it's the making all of these savings happen. We are really pinching our budget to try to make this thing happen. And, you know, for right now, it's the rough journey. And I say this, I don't want to make it sound like I'm living a miserable life. We're not. We live well. But we're doing the tough journey now for a short amount of time, so that in 15, 20 years, when we have kids that have grown through our house and that have been through college, which that won't be in 20 years, but you get the idea, you know, they'll be prepared for life, and we won't have had to struggle as much as maybe your common person has. And I'm not putting down the common way, but because we're doing this Dave Ramsey stuff, you know, we're already putting into place a plan for when all this stuff happens. So saying all of that, right now we're working hard towards these goals, and we're saving, and we're cutting, not cutting corners, we're cutting expenses where we can to try to do all of this savings for the house, for the future, for emergencies, for, you know, all of this stuff. And, you know, down the road, when it comes time to actually, you know, take on more responsibility, having a family, having kids, having to buy our next car, having to put kids through school, you know, it'll help us. We're going to be prepared for that. And so that is why this plan is so beautiful. I mean, it helps you plan, and it helps you prepare. So that'll be it for today. That's all I've got for you. Sorry I went a little bit long today. It's about a 13-minute video, but guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what I had to say today, please do like and subscribe for daily content, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.